Hello everybody, this is Amin.
And this is Alex.
And welcome to another episode of Let's Talk About. And in this episode, okay, we got a bunch of keywords. Cabotage and Revocation. Alright, so in the past couple of weeks, there has been like a major issue that's been debated in Parliament. And it concerns a lot of us. Yeah, of course, everything that's debated in Parliament concerns a lot of us, but this concerns a lot of us more because it's about internet. It's about internet, submarine cables, and boats. So what does the Transport Minister have to do with this? And what is cabotage? So in today's episode, we're going to talk about the cabotage issue and what's going on with what the decision that the current Transport Minister has made, Dr. Wee Ka Siong, with regards to boats or ships coming into Malaysian waters and how it connects to affecting your internet and why it is a concern. Alright, so Alex has been following the beat. Maybe what we should do is we should watch the debate on Parliament first.
Yep, so check this out.
This is what happened.
Berapa syarikat yang ada buat bisnes ini? Dasar kabotaj yang saya bagi pengecualian bukannya untuk keseluruhan. Hanya untuk satu segmen, iaitu untuk pembaikan kabel repair. Betul ada syarikat tempatan yang terlibat dalam kabel laying, iaitu memasang kabel. Tetapi syarikat-syarikat telekomunikasi ini memerlukan syarikat yang membuat repair dengan kadar yang cepat.
Apa yang telah dihuraikan dalam Malaysia kini, kononnya bila line ni tak ada, dia tak boleh buat rerouting. Itu yang pertama. Saya tak kata tak boleh. Kenapa syarikat-syarikat Giant Tech ni, mereka juga membuat backup. Sama juga kalau time.com di Malaysia, kalau rosak dia mesti buat rerouting. Satu perkara yang sama juga.
It doesn't solve the problem.
Kedua,
ini masalah dia. Ya?
Biar saya jawab. Biar saya jawab, Ya Bomat. Tak ada masalah. Saya boleh jawab. Sebab apa? Ya Bomat kata 27 hari. Saya boleh tunjuk satu gambar raja pada Ya Bomat. Kalau kapal itu ada di Malaysia, within 10 days, 10 hari boleh buat. Kenapa kita nak manaktirikan warga negara itu?
Masalahnya kapal tak ada, Ya Muhammad.
Itu sebab
that is the problem, you don't understand.
Itu sebabnya kita ada masalah 27 hari.
Nama dan syarikat dan pada hari ini,
you don't understand the problem.
Pada hari ini Yang Berhormat kena faham, masa juga telah mengesahkan oleh kerana ada dasar ini, mereka boleh menghidupkan capacity building untuk negara kita.
Itu boleh dilakukan tanpa even with cabotage, that can be done.
Yang Berhormat,
that can be done.
The cabotage policy.
Tapi soal dia, adakah kita ada kepakaran? Kita tidak ada kepakaran. Oleh itu mengambil masa 27 hari. Oleh itu kita melihat perlunya untuk kita mengatasi masalah ini kerana yang datang ke Malaysia untuk membuat data center dan sebagainya, mereka minta supaya kita ada satu sistem di mana ada masalah kita boleh selesaikan dengan segera. Okay. Apa masalah dengan perkara itu?
Okey, saya jawab.
It's as simple as that. Rerouting does not solve the problem, Mr. Minister.
Ya Muhammad,
you don't know what you're talking about.
Kenapa tidak kalau kapak Malaysia boleh melakukan perbaikan?
Okay.
Syarikatnya Optic Marine ada di bawah masa.
Dia tak ada kapal yang diperlukan, Yang Muhammad. You ask the industry players, ask Google, ask Facebook. Tanya mereka.
Menteri boleh tanya.
Ini perbincangan yang kita adakan.
Ini laporan.
You go and tell people.
Macam tu, Yang Berhormat. Saya nak beritahu Yang Berhormat,
minta pelaburan asing datang kemudian kita change just like that.
Tidak. Yang Berhormat mengelirukan Dewan.
Menteri,
saya tahu saya berada dalam perbincangan tersebut. Bagaimana boleh mengelirukan Dewan? You were not in those discussions.
I involved the discussion.
Discussions to bring data centers in this country. Were you in the discussions?
Come on.
You are not in the discussion because you are not the minister concerned. This is telecommunications.
Yang Berhormat.
Hayya.
Oh well, so let's start from the top. So what?
Let's start from, for those of you who don't have the context, what's going on actually?
Okay, first up, let's explain what the hell is cabotage in the first place. So cabotage is like a policy that actually protects local shipping industry. So this actually prevents, to reduce the competition from foreign vessels. And this was actually introduced in Malaysia since January 1980. So it's about 40 years now. So cabotage isn't entirely new. I mean, it's been around for quite a while and it's been implemented in various countries. It's not just for sea transport, but air transport and land transport as well. To sum it up, it means that if you have a cabotage policy, right? Foreign vessels can't do any domestic shipping within Malaysia. So that means that, for example, if a ship comes from Japan or China, right, when it comes into Malaysia, you can dump your goods in like Port Klang or in Johor, and that's it. You cannot do domestic routes. You can do like for Port Klang to Kuching or to KK and all that.
Yep.
So if it comes to, when you put it in the context of airlines, it's similar to like, if you want to fly domestically within Malaysia, you only can fly with Malaysian registered aircraft, like from Malaysia Airlines, Malindo, AirAsia. So foreign airlines, you can come in, but it's like point to point in the sense that you're from Singapore, you fly to KL, from Australia, from Qatar, you just fly in, but you can't do domestic routes.
You can land at one port.
Yes.
So you can land in Penang or Kuala Lumpur. But you can't then from Penang go to Kuala Lumpur.
Yeah, you can't do domestic routes.
Yeah.
So that's what the cabotage is all about.
So the reason for that is to protect local, ships, businesses lah, locally, ships, planes, whatever that can come internationally. For the concern of, for the reason of this discussion today, it's about ships. And most of the time, the cabotage is because of shipments of goods. So previously, without cabotage, what happened is ships can come to Port Klang and then move on to Sabah and Sarawak, or move on to wherever other ports that are available in Malaysia, and that kind of like affects the income potential of shipping domestically, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then.
And
So that's the breakdown of cabotage.
yeah, so
Okay.
that's the breakdown cabotage. So we got that out of the way.
Yep.
So this has been in place for quite a while right now, and
It
recently,
was since the mid
1980s,
90s, right?
80s.
In the 80s.
yes,
Yeah,
correct.
yeah,
And the
okay.
thing is, it's not just exclusive to Malaysia. Other countries practice this as well, including the US. Of course, they want to protect their own domestic shipping industry.
Yep.
So the biggest hoo-ha is actually started from the decision made by the previous administration.
Okay, so before we go into that, the some ships are exempted of cabotage or not?
No.
Okay, so this is the hoo-ha.
Yes.
Okay, let's go into the
Correct.
hoo-ha.
So the biggest hoo-ha made by the current administration is because of the exemption that was granted by Pakatan Harapan last year. So since, no mistaken, early 2019, the Transport Minister back then, Mr. Anthony Lok, he actually granted an exemption for the cabotage for ships that come to Malaysia to do undersea cable repairs. He made that single exemption. And the reason why he did that is to attract foreign investors, especially when it comes to undersea cable and data centers. Because if let's say someone's come into Malaysia, like Microsoft, Google, Facebook, I'll create a data center and I'm going to lay my own my undersea cables here. I want to make sure that I can provide a certain service level of assurance, for example.
Okay.
So I want to make sure that if something happens, right, I can fix the cable as soon as possible. And what they've requested is for exemption, because they said that in Malaysia, right, it can take up to 27 days to repair an undersea cable fault.
Wow.
That's very long. And of course, you know how long it takes to repair undersea cables. I think like during the MCO, right, we've experienced this one undersea cable fault. I forgot which cable. I think one of the Asian Gateway cables. That happened in somewhere off Hong Kong. And I think for 2 weeks, I think Malaysia had suffered a lot of slow traffic for international sites. Like even you want to do video conferencing, that's going to be a big problem. I think even like Netflix, YouTube were affected at some point. So because of that, the duration taken, right? They want to request for exemption so that we can speed up. So if something happens, right, we can call a ship from somewhere, like it could be from China or Taiwan, to come to Malaysia to repair. And this exemption is only granted for vessels repairing undersea cable faults.
Specifically, a type of vessel, right? It's the what, NB2 or whatever.
Or DP2.
DP2.
Yeah, but the exemption is not depends on the vessel, but just for the purpose of coming in.
Okay.
So even with this exemption, right, it's only for this specific type of purpose. The other cabotage policy still remains. We still don't allow foreign passengers.
For shipments,
Yes.
cruise ships,
Yes.
and stuff like that. It's still the exemption is only for ships coming in to fix cables,
Yes.
specifically that.
That's right.
So this was in 2019.
2019,
when Anthony Loke was the minister.
Yeah, and then that decision was made after they received requests from TM as well as Time.com, because they also operate and manage undersea cables, and with the support of the Communication and Multimedia Ministry, which was headed by Mr. Gobind Singh back then. Yeah.
So basically, this was not, it wasn't like a unilateral decision, right? I mean, it was mooted by the communications industry,
Yes.
supported by the communications ministry,
Yep.
and then the transport ministry said, okay, yeah, this makes sense,
Yep.
let's do it.
Yeah.
What happened after that was, there were, if I'm not mistaken, it was a unilateral decision by the current minister.
Oh no, he said he wasn't unilateral, he said.
That's what he said, but everybody else is like, what's going on? Okay, let's not cut to the chase. Okay, go on with your story, because it's quite interesting.
Yeah, so recently in November, so what happened was that there was like a revocation of the exemption.
Yes.
So the current Transport Minister, Dr. Wee Ka Siong, he issued an order to remove the exemption. So, remove this exemption for undersea cable repairs, apply the cabotage across the board.
Okay.
And
he gave reasons, right?
Yeah, he gave reasons
okay.
for that.
So what were the reasons?
Okay, number one is to obviously to reduce outflow of foreign currencies in terms of freight costs, because you want to keep the business internal. You don't want to hire a foreign ship to do the job in Malaysia. So that's the first one. And number two is to reduce reliance on foreign vessels. Like, why do we need to get foreign vessels? He wants Malaysia to develop this capability in our domestic waters. And also another one is to build the capacity of domestic shipping and capability. Number four is to increase the technical expertise among our local talents.
Blah, blah, blah.
And the last one is to ensure the country's safety and sovereignty guaranteed by reducing the number of foreign vessels in Malaysian waters.
I think, okay, I just want to make it clear on a number of things here with regards to the 5 things that he mentioned. Number one, capabilities and expertise. I don't doubt. I mean, we've worked in the industry for quite some time. I don't doubt that Malaysia has the technical capabilities and expertise to handle network installation, infrastructure, submarine cable repairs. No problems. We have the people. In fact, I mean, okay, it's not an apple-to-apple comparison, but if you know your fiber history, Telekom Malaysia launched Unify in 2007, if I'm not mistaken, and it was the first time Malaysia had ever had fiber internet. But despite that, we became one of the world's fastest fiber rollout ever. And it was like a good example. And it's not in isolation, it's not just because of fiber rollout, it's because of everything else that made that possible. And one of them is submarine cables. In fact, I think we have a number of submarine cables coming out from Malaysia, and we're growing that capacity tremendously. But the thing is, submarine cables, they're not owned by one particular company. It's usually owned by a consortium, because it's a connection, and that connection requires another party. Sometimes the cables connect multiple countries, so multiple parties are involved. Coming back to Dr. Wee's reasoning on why the cabotage is there, the only one reason that I would say that I would agree or think is fair is regards to protecting the economic capabilities of the shipping industry in Malaysia. But he did not provide adequate data, at least to me, with regards to what is the impact of the cabotage for exemption for submarine cable repair ships. Is it a lot? Is it a little? Is it minimal? Is it marginal? Does it really make an impact? And for him to expect local ship players, the MASA, right, the Malaysian
Ship Owners Association.
yes, to come up and develop a ship that has the capability to fix submarine cables in Malaysia water, it just doesn't make sense. Because if you apply the cabotage and it's to protect the shipping industry in Malaysia and to develop an industry where there's a company that can fix submarine cables or maintain submarine cables in Malaysia specifically, how many times a year, or what kind of industry does that develop? How big is that industry bubble? How many ships do we need to cover Malaysian waters? Is it a sustainable industry? Applying the cabotage means if Malaysia wants to go out and fix submarine cables just a bit out of our waters or in somebody else's, in another country's water, then they will apply the same limitations to us. How is that going to develop an industry? Obviously, within Asia, to develop the industry, open and free market is the way to go. So applying this cabotage seems to me a bit myopic lah, in my opinion. I mean, that's the way I see it anyway. But I think there's a lot of other nuances in the area. But for me, it's like applying that feels like he's working on somebody else's lobby. There's like some money to be earned. Of course, I'm speculating here, but I don't know. I mean, again, developing industry, developing expertise. He wants Malaysia to have their own submarine repair vessels for servicing Malaysian waters is, I don't know, not sustainable to me.
And also, like, to recap, in Malaysia, right, we have 19 submarine cables right now, and with 2 on the way. This is actually shared by Dr. Wee on his Facebook page. And the thing is, when he removed the exemption, right, you should look at the current situation. Do we have a capability to fix the cable right now with our local shipments?
Local ships
to fix the undersea cables. And of course, he said that, Malaysia got capability because there are a couple of members of MASA, right, who has the experience to repair undersea cables and all that. And they actually have ships registered outside the country. They do repair works overseas.
Okay.
So they say that, these companies are capable, we should, nurture them and all that. But the difference is that in Malaysia itself, right, from what I've checked and what I've read, there's only one vessel that can do the job, and that's actually DP1 vessel. So DP1, they call it dynamic positioning. So this is basically like a computer-aided system to ensure that the vessel...
Computer and GPS.
A computer GPS.
Yes.
It's a system that actually ensures that the ship stays on an exact spot in the water. So there's a bit of thrusters and propellers to make sure that the ship stays on the exact spot. So that's crucial for repairing undersea cables. So DP1 can do the job. But the problem is, this is just a barge. It's not even like you need a tugboat to pull it around. It's just only one. But the issue is that most of these industry players, the tech giants, they require DP2 vessels. DP2 is more advanced, so that is more suitable for choppy weathers. So apparently, what I read so far is that DP2 is actually a requirement because they need to comply with insurance.
So we don't have
DP2.
DP2 vessels in Malaysia, or Malaysian companies do not own DP2 vessels.
DP2 vessels for this kind of job.
So is it possible for DP1? So it's possible for DP1 vessels to go and repair the thing?
Yeah,
but the cable owners will say, no, I can't take that because if anything happens, insurance won't cover it.
Something like, to comply with insurance.
Okay.
So that's why they request DP2 vessels.
So for him to want to do this, he needs the industry needs to agree. The shipping industry, the MASA with the companies that own the DP1 vessels, they need to agree that we'll thank you for applying the cabotage, giving faith in us. They now have to invest in upgrading their ships to DP2.
Or come out in another vessel with DP2.
And they have not come out with a statement to say that we support Dr. Wee's move to do the cabotage.
Actually, they issued a statement to express his move to remove the revocation of the exemption, but they also added that they will help to expand the industry. They accepted it lah. They were positive. They're supportive about it because it benefits them. Because this cabotage obviously will benefit our local players, not international.
Okay, so it benefits the shipping industry or whatever minuscule numbers of the companies that own the DP1 vessel that feel that this is good for them. But the downside of that is...
Right now, so let's say if a cable breaks right now, we don't have a DP2 vessel. That's the concern. So let me keep it simple. Imagine this, undersea cables, if there's any fault, right, for us it's crisis. Your internet, it's going to be very slow.
Okay, before you go into that, if you watched the clip earlier, his biggest defense was, if a cable putus, reroute lah.
Yeah, reroute lah.
Okay, so why can't... I mean, we're doing that anyway, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we do that. Right? Imagine like when the submarine cable had a problem back in MCO phase 1, I think it was in April, no mistaken. Yeah, of course TM, Maxis, whatever, they'll do rerouting. Obviously it works, your internet still can move, but it's going to be very slow. Imagine this, it's like during balik kampung season. high traffic and all that. And suddenly on the North Side Highway, right, there's a landslide. The whole highway got blocked. Reroute to Jalan Kampung. Yeah, you can get there, but it's going to take like 10 hours. That's not a proper solution. So the proper solution is how do we fix that blockage as soon as possible? So to compare, right, with exemption, you can just call the ships to come in repair ships come in from overseas to repair the cable. But with a cabotage, they still can come in. Dr. Wee said
they just have to pay the toll, right?
Yeah, so they need to apply something called a DSL. It's actually like a licensing, like an exemption, like a permission like a permit to come in.
Okay, so it's not really a toll. Do they have to pay for the permit?
I'm not very familiar with that. Maybe there's a charge, I'm not too sure. But the biggest hurdle is the application. So they need to apply a DSL, like a permit. Maybe like applying visa to go another country. Yeah. But the thing about this DSL process is that they need to consult masa as well. So you need to consult, for example, like, TM or Time, they need to send some repair ships over. Then the ministry, they need to apply the DSL license. And then the ministry need to consult masa, you got anyone who can do the job? Only when they can confirm that, yes, we can't do the job.
We don't have anybody that can do, our ship is taken, whatever. Yeah, go ahead, give the permit to
then they give permit. So that process is the one that takes a lot of time. And that's why Anthony Locke was so frustrated, because that's the whole issue is all about. The process of getting the permit done takes a long time. But
so he was frustrated because of that issue, process. And that's why he said that there's an exemption. So that's the reason why he made that exemption in 2019.
Correct. Because because at that point in time, Anthony Locke is commenting like, we don't have DP2, so why do we need to go through this ding dong process? We don't have the capability. Why not just exempt this process for repair ships only? Yeah. So that's why the exemption was introduced. And according to Dr. Wee's credit, he did explain in Parliament that the DSL process is now faster because there's something called the EDSL, electronically applied. So
online,
yes. So from the usual practice of 30 days, you can cut down to 5 days. It's shorter, much shorter.
But it's still a +5.
Yes.
It's still a +5 over, it's N+5.
Correct.
It's how many days the ship takes to come to Malaysia, +5, because you got to wait for the OK.
Yes. Yeah. So that's the issue. It's still a wait.
That's the issue lah.
Yeah.
Okay, so it just and the thing is, it doesn't just affect internet for you and me. It doesn't just affect gaming or video conferencing. The latest news that you've been covering, Facebook, Google has been saying that we might need to reconsider our investments in Malaysia, which I think is kind of like a knee-jerk reaction. I don't know what's going on there. I don't understand why Facebook and Google are saying that, because I think they have to look into a lot of other factors with regards to when they invest in Malaysia, or when they decide to pull out their investment in Malaysia. And also, the exemption for the cabotage only ran for like 1 or 2 years. So before that, there was still this issue of, N plus whatever days and this permit and everything. So it's not like it's been here for 10 years and now it's off. So before that, before the exemption in 2019, the companies were still putting money in Malaysia. They were still talking to operators about building data centers in Malaysia, because having a data center in Malaysia means user experience for us is better. I mean, and Google and Facebook, they are also looking at investing in local content. People like Netflix and all that, they are also looking at investing in local content. And having a data cache of content that's outside of Malaysia, in Malaysia, means we can watch our content faster. So let's say if Google and Netflix are competing for your eyeballs in terms of watching videos, if one day Netflix says, look, I'm going to invest, I'm going to go with Amazon or whatever, and we're going to invest together in Malaysia to build a data center so that our users will have a better experience watching our content in 4K or 8K or 12K, whatever K coming forward, then Google is not going to sit there, no matter what charges or what delays or what cabotages is coming on. They are going to say, okay, look, I cannot be behind my competitors. So I don't understand why they came out to say that.
Because I don't know the exact timeline, but from what Gobind Singh had mentioned in Parliament that when Pakatan Harapan was in charge, that's one of the key criteria that's required by these companies in order for them to invest. So after exemption, is that okay? They are satisfied. So I think I will believe that they are committed to invest more into Malaysia. And suddenly, this whole change of government, this whole reversal of the exemption, just make things complicated. It's like, what the heck? I just spend so much money, and now you're telling me that you're not giving me this like a faster priority to repair my undersea cables, so that throws them off a bit. Yeah. So I guess, if I'm in their shoes, right?
In whose shoes?
Let's say the tech giants' shoes. Of course, this will be a concern for me because if something goes down, I want to repair as soon as possible because my customers will be complaining to me all the time. It's like, hey, why is your cloud services down?
No, but here's the thing. A lot of the tech giants, they don't specifically own the cable. So let's say if I am Facebook or Netflix, I don't care what policies or cabotages or whatever that you have in your waters, just get that up and running. For the companies to come and say, okay, if you have this problem with your policy, we're gonna reconsider our investment, seems very suspect because you don't just look at one thing, and for this one thing to happen, and okay, you can say that this one thing is super critical, it's internet connectivity. My argument is again, you don't own the cables, not at least the ones in Malaysia. I think all of them are owned by consortiums that are mostly formed by telco companies. So, why are you going out to say that? Plus, a lot of the people, a lot of data that goes through Malaysia goes to other countries as well. Some of them go to Australia, go to New Zealand. So for Google to say, okay, I'm not going to invest, that means they're forgoing the users over there as well. A lot of countries don't have direct submarine cable ownership, and a lot of countries do apply this cabotage services or cabotage policy, yet they still receive investment from Google. So from these technology giants, Google, Microsoft, Facebook, Netflix, or whatever. So why single out Malaysia?
Well, okay, the thing is, undersea cables serve as a backbone for the internet. So imagine this, if you invest in a data center, right, it's like having a factory in Malaysia, and you want to make sure there's a proper infrastructure in place. Like from the factory to the port, I need to make sure I can deliver properly. So imagine that the jalan, right, the road, right, is always broken, and it takes like 1 month to repair the pothole. That's going to affect my delivery. So like for example, if let's say Facebook and Google, they have data centers here, they want to make sure they have like a high reliable connectivity. There's a high uptime. If something happens, if a cable fault went wrong, they need to get the assurance that Malaysia has the capability to fix it so that to minimize the downtime possible. And if you compare with the region, Malaysia is one of the slowest. In fact, based on a report by The Edge, they saw a paper by MDAC that entitled Malaysia International Connectivity, Impact of Cabotage Policy on Submarine Cable Operation and Investment. So MDAC says that Malaysia's international connectivity is lagging behind its neighbours, and because for that reason, right, a lot of international firms avoid Malaysia. They prefer to land their submarine cables to Singapore. And if you compare to other countries, it takes maybe 14 days or 20 days to fix, not 27 days. It's just taking too long.
Okay.
And this concern is not just from the tech firms. Even TM and Time.com raised these concerns as well. And don't forget that these two companies are the ones that raised the concern to the previous administration. Like, guys, we need to examine it because we don't have the capability, the vessels to fix the cables. And you're right that other countries, they do have cabotage as well, even for submarine cables. But the difference is that other countries, they have the vessels available.
Does Singapore have cabotage for submarine cables?
I don't know about cabotage, but I'm pretty sure that they have their own
DP2
the vessels because they have more submarine cable landings there. Of course, they there are more landings in Singapore.
How many submarine cable landings are in Singapore versus in Malaysia?
I don't have the full picture here,
but they have more.
They definitely have more. That's why, like according to MDAC, right, that's the reason why a lot of international companies, they prefer to land the cables in Singapore, not Malaysia.
Okay, so I guess, but this has been going on since 2019, not since 2019, before 2019, until 2019.
Yeah, for 2 years.
But nobody nobody raised the issue.
They raised to the ministry.
No, I mean like, okay, so before 2019, why wasn't it I guess it was an issue, but it wasn't like...
It wasn't a priority. I think back then, because of Gobin Singh, I think when he took up the job, he's so gung-ho and all that.
Yeah.
So I guess one of his main agendas is to attract the tech companies to invest more in Malaysia, to set up more data centers in
So
Malaysia.
within those 2 years, did we see an uptake in technology investment from these tech giants?
I can't tell for now.
Did the MDEC report say anything about that?
I don't have visibility of the MDEC report because this is actually cited by The Edge.
Okay.
Yeah, because this was actually presented during the meeting by the Transport Minister after that whole Parliament session.
Okay, now back to the unilateral decision. So when he came out to announce it or table it or whatever,
Yeah, he said he met with the right people, the marine company.
a lot of people were in shock.
Yeah.
A lot of the people who I guess didn't know were in shock. I guess a lot of the industry players, the telecommunication industry player, were in shock. So I feel that it is a unilateral decision by him and the transport industry.
Yeah,
specifically the shipping industry.
Yeah, I think what's different here is that he did not consult the industry players. So
The telecommunications
yes,
industry.
yeah. So that's the issue.
And the telecommunications ministry.
He said he did consult them as well.
What did the MCMC say anything about this? Did they
No,
put out a
so far
statement?
no comments on
I
this.
guess
yeah.
they are in cahoots. So
Okay. You should watch the clip. So imagine this. So I think
This is so depressing.
yeah. So like what Kapil Singh said in Parliament.
Kapil Singh?
Sorry.
Wow.
Gobin Singh. Sorry, mixed up. So what Gobin Singh
Son
said.
of Kapil Singh.
Yeah, because we talk about okay.
Well-
anyway, what he said is pretty true. Like we can develop our shipping industry at the same time.
Yeah, we can work hand in hand. So before you be like super extreme about, okay, we're gonna reinstate the cabotage for submarine cable vessels, you can say like, okay, let's put a timeline to it.
Yeah, give it 2 years.
Yeah.
You develop the right vessels, and once it's done, we close it.
Yeah.
Then, we tell the tech guys, hey, we have a DP2 vessel here. You can fix it.
You can definitely do a win-win situation. This is a very like knee-jerk on the, I guess knee-jerk is not the term. Like, it's very like myopic. Like it's not looking really far ahead, and he's benefiting the people who are having the vessels, and that's very small. I think maybe 1 or 2 companies in Malaysia have a DP1 vessel, and yet they don't upgrade it to a DP2 when they know that a lot of submarine cable companies, because of insurance requirement, need it to be a DP2 vessel, and yet they have not done it. So there's very little motivation or impetus on the companies to upgrade their ships. They are not doing it.
Good they mentioned that, because according to one of the source by The Edge, right, they talked to an industry player, and what they say that
To which one? The shipping industry or the telecommunications industry?
the shipping industry.
Okay.
So he got one industry expert, right, saying that it's not very viable for local shipping companies to have a DP2 vessel because, firstly, our industry is quite small. It's only like 19 cables and 2 on the way, and if you spend millions to come up with a DP2 vessel just to fix a cable, you got to pray very hard that we have more submarine faults to make up your money.
Okay, I guess this is an extreme case. So the fellow is saying, I guess it's extreme because the DP2 vessels are not just there for repairs, they are also there for maintenance. And a lot of these submarine cables require maintenance. They require constant maintenance just to provide internet for all of us. So I think it's quite extreme for him to say that. And it's also quite extreme to say that we don't have the infrastructure. We have the infra. We have submarine cables. Our submarine cables can deliver the data, and we have a very strategic location for connectivity for other countries, across the oceans. So it's great, and it's good that the previous minister put in a ruling where it allows a more open market and a more not to say sustainable, but a more favorable situation for players to come and invest in Malaysia. In the meantime, while that happens, Malaysia or the shipping industry or people who are working with the submarine cables, they can look at upgrading their skills or upgrading their infrastructure or equipment to allow us to put a cabotage in place. Maybe in a 3 or 5 year time period. It's not impossible. But to put it in place now, and for the industry, the tech giants to say that we're reconsidering, means the people that are losing is us.
Yep.
Lack of investment means lack of job opportunities, lack of technology, and not transfer, but the learning and skills that are required that can be developed in Malaysia will just not happen.
Yep, and also another one is like when something happens to undersea cables, we need to wait for a long time to fix it.
27 days.
Yeah, but of course, Dr. Wee said with the new
Read
EDSL,
out.
read out is one thing, but the EDSL will be shorter. But okay, to put this
I don't believe him.
To put this in a very simple example, right? I'll give one analogy. Like imagine if there's a fire in your taman, all right, a house on fire, and then you call a bomba. So when the fire engine comes to your taman and it got stopped by the guardhouse, say, hey, what are you doing here? I need to put out a fire. Then the guardhouse will call everyone in the taman. Hey, are you sure we don't have anyone who can put out the fire? They make a few calls.
They say, go, I got the bucket.
And then that's not enough. And then after
I got hose.
And after 10 rounds, right, then you tell the bomba, okay, you know what, you can come in because nobody knows how to put out a fire. By the time the fire engine gets to the house, it's probably burned down to the ground.
Yeah. And then the house people that's the one that's
suffered.
That suffers.
Yeah, I mean we can develop at the same time. I feel that the exemption should be continued until we develop, until we are confident enough that yes, we have the capability to fix submarine cables, and all parties are satisfied.
Yeah, and I think again, we got to put out a disclaimer here. This is not politically motivated or whatever. We're not here to support a political party or choose one side over the other. This concerns all of us, and we got to make whatever our political alliances are, we got to make our politicians and policymakers work for us, no matter what party they are in. And the thing is, I'm disappointed, number one, at the transport minister saying this or allowing this to happen, and number two, I'm disappointed that the communication minister is not saying anything. I'm disappointed that the innovation minister is not saying anything. I'm disappointed that the minister of youth is not saying anything, because this, while it benefits the shipping industry in whatever way and magnitude that I don't know, but it seems minuscule by the looks of it, impacts all of us.
Yep.
And it not just impacts all of us today, it impacts all of us and our kids and whatever in at least the next 3 to 5 years. Just for what? For who? For what? And that's the thing that we felt compelled to talk about. And that's the reason why, this is an issue that you should be aware of and think about. And this is an issue that you should, at least raise or make visible or be a voice. If not write a letter, make it visible or heard on social media, because, that's where our ministers are nowadays anyway.
Yeah, remind them. Remind your representatives.
Yeah, voting season is coming soon. Yes, this is an issue. Yes, your internet is running, but when the submarine cable is done, we don't know when. And now it's monsoon season. It's very seasonal. Sometimes, a lot of the time, submarine cables are damaged because ships hit them or sharks eat them. It's true.
Yes, earthquakes.
And because of seasons, monsoon season, it's literally a big fat cable under the sea that somebody needs to go down and fix. So it's not like fixing the router cable behind your house. and the thing is, I guess another analogy is, if it's like a router cable and it affects your house and you're the guy that fixes it, and you have like 5 or 6 people in your house, the first thing everybody will ask you is, what happened to my Wi-Fi? What happened to my Wi-Fi? I can't watch my thing, I can't do this, and you're like super stressed, right? That's one house. A submarine cable down, yes, you can reroute it, yes, you can tell your household, hey, use your mobile data for a bit. It affects the whole country, and that's not a good thing. And it's bound to affect you, you know that? So pick your politicians wisely, make the issues heard, make it visible, tell them, hey, this is not on. Yeah. Anything else you want to add, Alex? I think we've covered pretty much everything.
We've covered everything already.
Yeah.
So now you know.
Now you know. So cabotage is not cabbage. It sounds the same, but I think one is more important than the other. Alright everybody, this is me, Amin.
And this is Alex.
Before we go, I just want to remind everybody we're available on podcast. So if you want to listen to us on your favorite podcast platform, just search for Search in Child Let's Talk About, and we're there. If you do listen to us on podcasts, give us a 5-star rating, because that helps more listeners discover us. It helps get our podcast game on. For those of you who are watching us on YouTube, thanks for watching the video. Give us a thumbs up if you feel that this has been informative and helpful for you, because that helps us a lot too. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do subscribe to our channel. We're also available in Bahasa Melayu on Sorry Cincau BM. Do subscribe to that channel as well. If you have any comments, suggestions, if you feel that this is something that you want to talk about, please put them in the comment section. We're super happy to see your comments, and we love reading them, and that helps us make this show better. That helps us find out more topics to talk about. So please do that. I hope you enjoy the show, guys. This is me, Amin.
And this is Alex.
Thanks for watching. Catch you guys later.
Bye.